Endless Hustle is presented by Eat Clean Bro, a convenient solution to bring you the highest quality chef-prepared meals delivered right to your door. Eat Clean Bro is the contract-free solution for your meal prep needs. Made with all-natural ingredients and next-day delivery, every meal feels like you have someone cooking for you right at home. All right, we got a great country music day on the Endless Hustle as I'm joined by country music superstar, the one and only Lee Brice. Lee, pleasure to have you on the show, my man.
Absolutely, man. It's good to be here.
New album, new single, you're touring. Life ain't so bad, is it?
No, man, it's really been special. I mean, you know, we're always recording, and that didn't really stop during the last year and a half of writing. That didn't stop, but you know, being able to play for people, like real people, like in a room, you know, is something we really miss. And so being out and doing that again has just been. We've been probably back at it really hard now for like 6 weeks. And it's just getting crazier and crazier. I mean, people are they were craving music, you know, they were craving live music for sure.
For a performer, what's that like when you get to be in front of them again? Because I've been talking to stand-up comics and they've been fucking miserable not being able to be on stage. Is it the same thing for a country music performer?
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, you know, we tried to stay sort of in touch with people and try to place it. So we ended up doing so many quote shows, like me looking at a camera, right? Like, and imagining, and I even did it to where there was a whole college or a bunch of people on the other side of that camera, but it was so weird. And I'm trying to not, I don't want to be that I wasn't appreciative to be able to be playing music at all, but it sucked. I mean, it was like, you know, there's this whole thing you get, and there was this big hole in my heart, you know, and us people who like thrive for that stage and that energy coming back from other people. It's just, yes, it's I catch myself now on stage going, oh my God, this is so awesome. they're probably going, what is he doing up there? I'm just up there going, oh Lord, thank you for letting me be back up here.
So when we were bullshitting before we got started, I noticed your necklace. Is that a huge LB that you're wearing?
Yeah, it's an L backwards B. My buddy had this made for me. We got this song cut early on in my career. Tim McGraw recorded and put this song out called Still, and that we wrote together. And it came from this verse, Psalms 46:10. And so, you know, I normally wouldn't have made my own LB necklace, but he made it for me, so it's cool, right?
I want to talk to you because you had a fascinating career, man. You're one of those guys that's worked your way up through the country music food chain. You start as a songwriter, like all of you guys and girls seem to do for all the A-listers. You then finally break through. You've become a monster star in your own right. But when you're writing songs, turn back the clock, you're songwriting, McGraw, Garth Brooks, all these people are getting these songs. Do you ever think you're going to actually transition to the other side of it and become a successful performer?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that was the plan the whole time. You know, that really was the plan, and that's why I came to Nashville. I didn't come just to be a songwriter. I just, you know, I was actually making a record most of the time that I was getting those cuts. My first record, with the complete intention of doing, you know, all this, becoming, you know, having my own stuff out. But, you know, whenever you're a starving artist and I was just writing a bunch. So you know, you can only cut so many songs. You can only record so many songs. So, and I was broke. So I was like, yeah, you know, if Garth Brooks calls and wants to record your song and put it on the radio and you can't afford to put cheese on your burger, then, you know, what do you think you do? So, yeah. And I mean, so it really kind of came off like I was a songwriter first. And the truth is I am a songwriter first at heart, because you got to have the song before you can go produce it and you can go sing it and you can go play on it. I mean, I love everything about the music. I love everything about making the music, writing the music. But because I had a few cuts early on before I had my own hit on the radio, people kind of think that I was just here to write music for a little while. But I always wanted to be, you know, Garth Brooks. You know?
I'm a guy who likes to be in the limelight. I want to be recognized. I want people knowing that the successes are mine. So if I wrote songs for other people and meanwhile someone else is singing them, it would drive me berserk. I've always thought about this. I would be on a date and be like, yeah, I wrote that song for Garth Brooks, by the way.
Well, I do catch myself like on stage, you know, and maybe I'll kick the band off and I'll go, man, just me and my guitar. Like in that moment, a lot of times I don't know what I'm going to play. I just kind of play it by ear, you know, but sometimes I'll go down, look, here's one that, you know, I wrote a long time ago, but it wasn't my voice you heard on the radio singing it. But, you know, I was lucky enough for, say, like Eli Young Band, they came on and they cut Crazy Girl, this song I wrote about my high school, like, best friend. And then through college, we were friends. And then we finally ended up dating. And she, you know, this whole deal, I ended up writing this song about her. And well, anyway, you know, that was another one of those. I'll go sing that song at my concert and people will love it. And I'm kind of like you. I'm like, I want people to know that I wrote this song. I'm proud of this song. And so a lot of people, when I do that, they're like, wait, he's singing Crazy Girl. Maybe they missed the intro of me talking. They're like, why is he? I even have people go, why are you covering an Eli Young Band song? I'm like, I'm not covering it, bro. I wrote it. So leave me alone.
You're like, that's my baby.
Yeah,
I just loaned her out to somebody.
Yeah, dude, it's mine, actually.
So when does the break happen for you? When do you officially make that transition?
Well, it was really kind of a weird and slow and broken transition in and break in. I mean, it was 7 years of making my first record while I was getting a couple cuts, and like, you know, and we would, because the way this label did it, you know, they put out a single, and they were just waiting for one to catch, you know, before they put the whole album out. So it was like 7 years in this process. And now when that came out, you know, we had a pretty big hit. Love Like Crazy came out off that record. But it didn't feel like that momentum was really kicked in like it was, you know, I mean, it really didn't until I put out Woman Like You and Hard to Love and Truck, I Drive Your Truck, those songs. That was when it really felt like things turned around and kind of put us on another level. And honestly, there's kind of been a few steps of that. Like, so then we go, you know, fast forward 8 years and we put out Rumor and we put out One of Them Girls and we put out the duet with Carl. So now it's a, you know, another level. And I feel like everywhere we go now, I mean, I'm having to cut off like #1 songs off my set list and like songs of the year off the set list because I can't get them all in. You know, I'm thinking this is a pretty good problem to have.
I mean, that's incredible. Think about what you just said. You're like, I couldn't put cheese on my cheeseburger before, and now I got to decide what #1s I'm not playing during one of my concerts.
Yeah.
So I had your songmate Carly Pierce on the show recently, who's like my crush. I didn't tell her that, but I love Carly.
She's awesome.
She is awesome. She's the girl that I can bring home to mom. Like, my mom would be like, son, we're good. Shut it down. Close the door. We're good.
Forget all those New York girls. You got you. Okay. Yeah.
Praise Jesus. This is the one.
Yeah.
But Carly was telling me about just the shit job she had to do when she was struggling to make it. Like, she had to clean Airbnbs at one point, and that just sounded horrific. When you're in that struggle phase and you can't even think about putting cheese on your cheeseburger, what was some of the crap you had to go through? Like, starving artist, how hard is it?
I mean, you know, well, you're working 2 jobs because whatever job you got to try to pay bills, you know, you're still putting every ounce of your time, your extra time, into writing songs. And if you're serious about it, you know, you're getting up and if you got time off, if you're, say I was a server at Rainforest Cafe, I had a bunch of flair and whatever you call it, you know, I mean, I had the whole thing. And I was a server at a bunch of places. And then I would also go on my day off, I'd go write 2 or 3 writers, like over at 2 or 3, I mean, all day, 2 or 3 write 2 or 3 songs. And then, you know, at night, if I got off of work, I would go play little acoustic shows down at the Mexican restaurant or down at the bowling alley, wherever they paid me like $100 to go play for 4 hours. You know what I mean? And I was able to go play my music, and I'd play covers and throw them all in there. But you know, make enough money to, I mean, I cut the grass of my own record label. Like, I pull my truck up, and like the Music Row's kind of small. They got these small little lawns that are like 10 by 15 feet. And I'm like, bro, they're like, hey, we'll give you $50 to cut. I'm like, $50? That'll take me 30 seconds to cut. So I'm like, I'm gonna cut this whole, like all of Music Row. Like I can do it in an hour. I'm like, so here I am, like on the record label, Curb Records, and I'm out front like cutting the grass, you know what I mean? But I did what I had to do, but you gotta you still have to put that time in for the music. I mean, you can't just sit around and wait on something to happen, you know?
So are there moments when you're going through that where you're like, this just isn't going to happen? I'm going to be cutting grass here for the rest of my life.
No, to me, it was, I mean, there may be for some people, but for me, it was like, this is what I got to do to get to where I'm going to get to, period. You know, I was like, I didn't have a backup plan. I mean, I had somewhere to go, I guess, you know, my daddy, you know, I grew up an electrician and, you know, and he had a thriving electric company back home, and, you know, and I could have gone back and done that, I'm sure, you know, and he would have been elated. But in my mind, that wasn't an option. In my mind, it was like, well, do what you need to do. This is going to happen. And I did get pretty lucky, though, because when I first came to Nashville, I'd met Doug, and I was at the label. I told you, I was there for a long time before my record ever came out, and I was writing songs. So I was kind of in with the, you know, I met some people I needed to meet, you know, and it just took so much time. I just kept plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. And they'd be like, hey, can you do trim? I'm like, sure, I can do trim. You know, can you can you like tear out this bathroom and put a new one in? I'm like, of course. Yeah. I know, I do tile all the time, you know.
They're like, keep this guy on the record label just because we need home improvements at the studio. You know what I love about your story is that, and I always love talking to people who kind of made it later in life, you know, because we're in an age now where there's instant gratification. You go on TikTok, you're 5 years old and you're a millionaire. I can't fucking stand it.
That's even heads and tails way above like people who were able to go onto a, you know, singing show, and all of a sudden all of a sudden they got 3 buses and 8 trucks, and, you know, even that, it blew my mind. I'm like, man, they don't have any idea about like coming up through bars and coming up through places where there was nobody, and you just had to come back to that place, and like you had to keep working it for years to build a foundation of fans, which I still think to this day is one of the reasons why, you know, I feel like building it like that is one of the reasons why songs will hang around for a long time, and why I could go probably play music till the day I die, because these fans have been fans of me for, you know, going on 20 years now, you know, and I feel like it matters. I feel like you can't take this from me now. It didn't matter what happened in my life. I could go play music, you know, for somebody, you know what I mean? And I think it matters. So we did it the hard way, but I think sometimes doing it the hard way, you know, lasts a lot longer.
So you mentioned competition shows. You were rejected by American Idol. I mean, how
I was not rejected by American Idol. I don't know where you heard that from, but I ain't never going out for American Idol.
Oh, I saw that in research somewhere. I know you did X Factor.
So now I will say my brother went, and he said he went to go to one of those auditions, and he's killer, by the way. And we're making records on him. He's putting music out. It's awesome. Lee Brice. And but anyway, before all that had happened, he had gone down and he said, I'm gonna go do this. And so he went down and did one of the big auditions, like in Atlanta or something. And he said, Lee, I went in there and I like opened my mouth for like 2 words. They're like, oh, stop, go. And he's like, I mean, he stood there all day, and I'm like, there just seems to be a lot of politics and stuff and that stuff, just like there isn't anything else. But no, that wasn't me. That was my brother. And then also, it's funny you say that, because I've had so many people will come up and be like, oh my gosh, I loved your concert. I wish you would have played this other song, BroBice, you know, or I'm like, hi, BroBice. You know, you know, some people just kind of get that, you know, get things mixed up, but that's okay. I'm like, it's okay. I'm just glad you enjoyed the show.
That's amazing that they called you BroBice. That's amazing. You're like, I'd rather you think I was rejected from American Idol.
Yeah.
So now that you're at this point, I mean, you're at a fantastic point. I was just Instagram stalking you before we started, and I'm like, it's putting up pictures in front of like thousands of people in Kentucky. You're at this just incredible point. What do you think about when you go to bed at night? Like, what is kind of the thought process about where you came from to where you're at now?
I mean, it's honestly, I'm sitting there going, man, this is awesome. But I'm honestly, more of me is thinking forward. I'm thinking, okay, we're here, but I really want to be here, and I want to, and what can we do to get to this? To me, there's still a few more levels to go to get to where I really want to be and really feel like I can be, there's a lot of red tape and some stuff, when you got like an old school record deal like I have, it's hard to just go, put music out every day. Like if I didn't have that, I'd be putting out music like every day. I mean, I write songs every day, and I basically record the whole song that day and it's done. I mean, I'd be putting music out left and right. One day that'll be, and I'm working with the label now. We're trying to figure out ways, and they're letting me kind of squeak out a song here or there on the side. But, I mean, I'm just always about what can I do? How can I continue to carve my music into being who I am and what I want, but yet still like capture the attention of the whole world, and even the kids today. And like for them to go, man, that's cool. It's like Aerosmith, it's like Steven Tyler. It's like, you never know. They could put out a song tomorrow and it might be the hippest thing on the planet. You know what I mean? And they've been able to be they've had longevity through how many years now?
50 well, yeah, they're icons. I mean, they're just icons.
And that's what my goal is, So I'm thinking more forward than I am back mostly, because I'm like, all right, how do I make tomorrow a bigger day than today was,
It's such a fascinating conversation. I hear both sides from musicians where it's awesome to be part of a label because you get the marketing push, you get the support, the studio time, all that great stuff. But it can be a pain in the ass because contracts can be so restrictive. And I get it, because at the core, I'm an artist too. We're all artists when we're creatives, right? And being restricted is a hard fucking thing, man. It really is.
Yeah, it is. And so to their credit, they have let me make the music I want to make. They really have. They don't ask me questions. I just turn in a record to them. And they're like, how's it going? How's it going? And I'll say, well, here, I almost got it here. And I give it to them. They're like, oh, so I've earned and learned that they let me do that now. They over the last few records, they've really let me just do what I want to do. So that's awesome to have that freedom. But, like you were talking about earlier, on the other subject of people being able to put out something on TikTok or put out a new song yesterday just in front of their computer at home. And now all of a sudden they got millions of followers. That's the kind of thing that I feel like I was kind of born to do. It's like, because I write 200-300 songs a year. So, and I record them all. So I'd be like, well, why not just put them all out there? They all have something special about them. Somebody's going to like this one better than that one. They're all different. They kind of honestly, when they're in their demo stages, sometimes I'm in the mood. So I might have a total R&B song going, or I might have a total rock and roll song going, or I might have a total pop thing going, or something dirt, stone cold country, or blues. I mean, so I would just be putting all kind of music out. There almost wouldn't be a label on the genre of music that I was playing.
Wait, so that just got me thinking, because Beyonce announced yesterday she's coming out with some new music, and then here you are saying that you're blasting pop. Who would people be surprised to hear that Lee Brice listens to that we would never imagine Lee Brice listens to? I
mean, probably a lot of people, but starting with like Eminem, I grew up from everything. When I was listening to music in my daddy's truck, right? I have 1 second I'd have in, Don Williams or Garth Brooks, and then the next second I'd have in Tupac or Bone Thugs and Harmony or Boyz II Men or Whitney Houston or Brian McKnight, because or Kenny G, like playing on, just musically, I've always loved music. And so if it moved me, I've never cared of what kind of genre it was. It's never really resonated with me that there's just different genres. It's like, I know they are, and I know the differences of them, and I know all that stuff, but I love a lot, like pieces of all of them. I love, like there's all. And so when I'm writing, I'm writing songs, and I'll be pulling from this blues section of this. Oh man, this reminds me of this little moment, or like this is an homage to this like total straight up pop moment that what was the song? She had the like guns going and stuff. I see this was back in like, this is probably like 8 years ago. What was the song? Oh my God. But I totally like this. I got a song called More Beer on my record out now. And I heard this thing in my head from this song I was listening to one of my ex-girlfriends a long time ago, like 8 years ago. And we were listening, and but she had like guns, chicken, and chalking, and all this stuff, and it was a smash. I'm like, well, that's what I want. That's this groove of this thing is like, so More Beard came from that, and like you'd be like, wait, how did that country ass song come from this total like just grooved out different R&B, just totally off to the side song, but it did, in my head.
I was in Nashville over Memorial Day weekend, and the only thing that's more Nashville than country music is the Nashville Predators. And they were,
God.
Yeah, they were in the first round. Are you a Preds fan? Because so many country music stars are.
You got to be whenever you're here. It's like, even if you didn't grow up like watching or caring about hockey, you come up here and it's like, first of all, it's really cool because they're just, like you said, everybody's a fan, right? It's like a hometown, a real deal hometown team. But second of all, you go to one game, you go one time, like actually at the arena, and you're hooked. You're like, this is awesome, So yeah, so you're immediately a fan of that, because like I took my kids and they're like, this is crazy, But yeah, I got introduced to it and fell in love with it. So yeah, I'm a Preds fan, and of course I'm a Clemson Tiger fan when it comes to football, but so I have to split like the Titans and like the Panthers, like a little bit from where I'm from and where I've lived like for the last 20 years of my life for NFL.
So I love with the Preds, they always have country stars perform at the arena at Bridgestone.
Oh yeah.
Is that something that you would want to do? And if you did get the chance to do it, what would you play?
I actually got to do that. I actually got to do that at the All-Star game, and they had the All-Star game a few years back at the arena. And so I was out there in the middle of the arena when they were announcing all the players, and they had all the lights going. And so I'd be, I had like a set list of stuff, but I'd do a song, and then they would, during the end of the song, they would announce another player, and he'd come out like skating through the red flashing laser lights. And so we did this like 45-minute show introducing both teams and going through their stuff. And so we had a ball doing that. But yeah, I mean, if I was going to play for them, I would definitely have a rocking set. I can tell you that. I wouldn't be throwing too many ballads in that one.
So you mentioned Clemson Tigers. You were a long snapper, right? Like, is that true?
Yeah. I was a long snapper for Clemson. I played line. I played linebacker. Clemson was like, it was always music for me growing up, and football. And then like football, to me, my ultimate goal was Clemson. Music, my ultimate goal was like Garth Brooks. You know what I mean? So when I got on the team at Clemson, and I got my starting position and all the things, I mean, it was like my dream I really kind of accomplished that dream, ran down the hill and spent all that time and, rubbed the rock and just all that. I mean, it was like my ultimate goal for football. And, I got hurt and like couldn't snap anymore because my elbow was just shot. So it was like this sign. It was like, all right, you did what you were supposed to do in football. And now truly the biggest part of my heart was music anyway, growing up, the biggest part of me, the deepest part of me. And so I visited Nashville for a spring break, and I never left, basically. So,
what do you think, as a former college athlete, now that you can get paid with NIL and image, likeness, all that great stuff? You have a great personality. Like, I can imagine young Lee Brice making a few dollars with NIL.
I mean, I think, I think for me, I'm like, these guys, they're bringing a lot of money in to these programs. And so if Nike wants to come pay one of them to be, I mean, why not? I mean, my daddy paid me when I was 16, 15, 14, 13, 18 to go work for him. So why can't, now I will say, if it was going to be $100 million and my kid was 18 years old or 17, I'd be like, hey, you can get it like whenever you're out of college or something. So they don't go blow it all, but I've always been when I started hearing about that in the last couple of years, they started talking about it. I was like, man, they should get paid something. If they get offered, why not? What's the problem?
I want to talk to you about your whiskey, because everybody's got a whiskey now. How did that start for you? And what's the whole process? Like, I'm so curious how people get into that business.
Man, it's really just been, it was really, I met some guys they're out of Austin, and they have actually done this before with some other liquor companies and stuff. But they started Deep Eddy vodka, and they sold it, for $400 million, like 2 years later. But when I got to talk to these people, they were just good folks. They were like down to earth. They just got bukus of money. They love going and starting up new companies. And we were just talking about like our brands and like who I am and who they are as people. And so we talked about this American born whiskey. And so we kind of started up a brand and talked about labels and, and so I got to be a big part over the last, gosh, we're going on a good many years now. And they've had some big offers, but they're like, I think we're going to hold out for $1 billion. I'm like, holy crap, man. I'm glad I'm a stake owner in it.
Dude, I would have been there with a shotgun telling them to sell. Yeah. I would have been like, what are you doing? Get me my loot. Get me my bag.
I know. I'm like, what? You're not going to take the $400 million offer? Okay.
Man, you're a better man than I am. There would have been a hostage situation if there were 100. If I saw 9-digit offers, no one's leaving that house till she decides.
They're nice people. And here's the deal. I trust them because they don't hope stuff's going to work. Like they go, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to make this product and we know it. We're going to make it work. Like we're going to make it happen. Be like if you were an artist, right? And you had a parent who was like a gajillionaire and they were like, look, how much is it going to cost me to get my daughter or my kid, my son to have a smash on the radio? That could happen. You know what I mean? That's happened before many times. They're not like hoping, putting all their life savings into something, hoping it's going to work, So,
you know what it is, dude? You're a successful music artist now, so you don't depend on that money. If you were still the dude who needed cheese on his cheeseburger,
you're right.
Trust me. You're threatening. They got to sell.
I think I'm probably with you there.
Dude, this has been awesome. Before I let you go, one of the main reasons that I started this show was to talk to successful people across all genres about the mentalities and principles that help make them successful. So my question to you, Lee Brice, is what are some of the facets and the principles that you incorporate in your life to continue to elevate?
Well, I'm always wanting to better myself, but and that's just a me thing. And I think one of the biggest things in my career has been a couple of things. One, from the start, we started out from the ground up, and we knew we were going to have to work hard to make it happen. And we went into it with that mindset. And then with that, from that day until now, everybody around me, whether you're my drummer or whether you're my ear guy running my ear monitors or whether you're my bus driver, whether you're back home, like working out deals, between agents or this or that, like we respect factor of other people and like treating them good, even if maybe you show up and they ain't got the stuff you're supposed to have, or you turn the other cheek, or maybe they're being dicks, but like, you know what, we're gonna turn the other cheek. We're gonna be sweet. We're gonna work hard. We're gonna be easy to work with. We're gonna care about other people. We're gonna want to make people's lives better. If somebody has a special something come up and we need to change our set or change our moment, our plan, our rules to make somebody's life a moment, that they'll never forget. everybody around me knows that that's the number one rule. That's what we are. We're good to people. And you can mess up. You could screw up on your part or screw up on your job, and we can get past that 100 times. We'll make that. We'll figure that out. But we can't get past if you're going to go be, go to be a dick or go be rude to somebody that's because that's just not who I am. And I feel like that's one of the reasons I've come far in my life, as far as I've come so far, it's because no matter what, I've always tried to treat people good, and like even to a detriment to myself. Like even when I started out, I'm giving my band members every dollar I got, because just to get us through to the next gig and make sure they were taken care of. And that's how I want us to treat everybody else around us. And so I think treating people the right way and knowing that it's going to come back around and believing that has been kind of our biggest overall as a whole, for myself and my management. Like that's how we think. And we always go by those rules.
I love it, man. Great answer. You have been a pleasure to chat with, Lee. This was awesome, man. Thanks for just the fun answers. Yeah, you're welcome back anytime, brother. This was awesome.
Absolutely, man. Well, hey, let's do it again. And I appreciate you having me. And it's been cool. And if you need any help, grab anybody else, you let me know, or you holler at me anytime. You got my number.
By the way, next time you're in New York, I'll show you the city, man. I'll give you the official New York initiation.
100%.
You are the man. Thanks so much, Lee.
Okay, brother. Later on.
Take care, bro.